Thank you so much for staying with us. My guest is here, Barrister Mahmud. Abdul Mahmud is the president, Public Interest Lawyers League. Thank you so much for coming over.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Amici. Happy New Year. Nice to see you again.
Yes, first time we are seeing, but we have spoken this
on virtual link.
Yeah, not physically.
Right.
Well, let's start with your comments to the statement of the president that he's happy, things are getting better, security situation is improving even in the Northwest.
I think first I'll frame my response to him with reference to what the now late renowned philosopher wrote extensively about in his 1907 book, The Introduction to Morals and Legislations. I'm referring to Jeremy Bentham here. He said that the outcome of an action or policy or moral position taken by people of power must be judged on the basis of the consequences of those actions on human happiness. The question I will naturally ask Mr. President is this: are your citizens happy? I'm a citizen of Nigeria, I'm not happy. It costs me more than an arm to fuel my car, to run around and do my work. And that is the littlest of the source of my unhappiness. As we speak, there's a Nigerian who is crowdfunding for his freedom at the moment, Prince Ojajuni.
Okay, the leader of the youth wing of the Afenifere, who was abducted.
Yeah. We are not aware that he has been released or any action on actions have been taken by the Nigerian state to snatch that young man from the hands of his kidnappers. His families or members of his families are unhappy at this moment. There are many Nigerians out there battling with increasing exorbitant house rents. There are many Nigerians out there struggling with all sorts of charges imposed by this government, whether by telecom or CBN. Let me give you an example. You are broke, you request transfer from a friend. He sends you money. When you wake up in the morning, you see all sorts of charges on, the freebie that you received on your account. And the same friend who sent you the money also has all sorts of charges on his account as well. These are some of the challenges Nigerians are facing. But I do not expect Mr. President to be unhappy. For someone, who has imposed the most draconian neoliberal economic policies in our country and who is enjoying freebies in State House. Don't forget, he bought himself a presidential Escalade when Nigerians cannot even afford a Tukumbo car. Don't forget, he also built himself through the Navy a presidential yacht. We see each time he visits Lagos, the number of cars in his presidential convoy. He does not tell you of a man, of a president, who understands the pains Nigerians are going through. So, in a way,
the counter-argument may be that he's the symbol of the nation and he deserves this minimum privileges.
Yeah, even if he deserves the minimum privileges, he must be able to show some discipline, in the way he exhibits or exercises or he uses, his privileges. That he has not done. We are in the middle of a terrible economic crisis. The president must show example. By showing example, he must be austere. Mr. President is not austere. That's the point. But the most important thing is one made by Jeremy Bentham. Policy or actions of government is judged by the consequences of those actions on human happiness. Nigerians are unhappy, Mr. President.
That's welfare and well-being of citizens?
Of citizens, absolutely. That's my opening
And the taxes keep coming. The president says, yes, I understand you're crying to the high heavens, but just tarry a while. This is temporary. All these taxes we are imposing, the administration is imposing, will soon give way to some good times for the people.
It will not. It will not. Again, I refer to scholars here. I refer to the literature. if you've read, Paul Collier, Okonjo-Iweala's report for the World Bank, a 2004 report on the World Bank on taxes, they argued, and most correctly, that no country uses taxes for the basis of growing into prosperity. None. No country. And we've seen global economists making and posing the same argument. And I ask again, when you impose taxes on the citizens and their income returns are stagnant, are you invariably interested in the prosperity of individual homes or of the nation state? There cannot be a nation without citizens. So these are arguments that there will be a straight road at the end of the bend. It's not
light at the end of the
or
tunnel.
light at the end of the tunnel. It's not supported by the literature. So for me, with due respect, Mr. President is talking bunkum.
And these taxes are coming.
They
But
are
good enough, the customs that introduced 4% free on board duty, they backtracked. They say they are suspending it. At least some form of relief. Maybe the outcry may have gotten to the ears of
perhaps the outcry, perhaps the real eggs within the government, have cautioned the government on the need to at least step on the brakes on the way they pile taxes. But again, too, if you look at the removal of oil subsidy and the inflationary pressure in which the economy, has come under, and if you look at the consumption level of Nigerians in respect of the amount of petrol they buy, if we're honest with ourselves, the volume of petrol we consume today isn't as high as it was, pre-May 29th, 2023. It does suggest, too, that the pressure on the incomes of individual households has also affected the distributable use of petrol, in our country. And if you look at all sorts of charges that are being imposed on energy use, for example, I know of homes today that no longer deploy the use of generators. I know of homes today where people prefer to just switch off the bulbs, throughout the night to keep the use of energy burnout, in terms of cost.
That's energy efficiency.
Well,
that's what that's what the Minister of Power preaches. He says, even your deep freeze, at some point, you have to switch it off.
My friend, look, let's be honest with ourselves. This is why I'm just talking rubbish.
Okay. Perhaps not rubbish. Perhaps they are stating what they are doing. And to their own rights, they are explaining themselves that, and we like it when they explain themselves out. So when they do it, we must accept that.
But it's not enough.
They are talking
it's
sense.
not enough. It's not enough in a way for you to explain yourself to the point that your explanation becomes ludicrous. And it is the ludicrousy, of these explanations that I find extremely, extremely, extremely funny. The government should have a handle on the economy. The government should have a handle on citizens' individual response of citizens to the economy. How do we grow the economy in such a way that it brings prosperity to citizens and individuals?
Is it not what is happening? There are reports that prices of essential items are coming down.
It is not happening. What the MBS is doing, I said it here. I said it here. When you forge statistics and forge numbers, you are always found out. When you tell me that prices are coming down, in terms of the statistical number that you give out, and evidence in the marketplace.
No, this didn't even come from MBS. Yeah. And I know they don't forge statistics. They come out with genuine survey that you can validate or invalidate. But the report out there, we get it, but no study yet. Perhaps when the inflation rate for this last month comes out, we'll see. But the reports are that they are beginning to come down steadily. That we are yet to verify that.
But we don't find the evidence in the marketplaces.
So till it gets to the market, then we'll believe.
You tell me that the prices are coming down, and you throw all sort of into your basket. On the basis of that, you make analysis, you make projections, and you give us the inflationary trend year on, year in, year out. But the point is this, if you tell me that prices are going down, I should be able to see that going down.
The price of fuel.
That going down.
Diesel going down.
On the shelves of supermarkets of our
But
country.
petrol prices going down.
But we know the factors responsible for this. The competitive politics that have now been tied to petrol production and petrol distribution across our country. Don't forget that there is a war going on between Dangote and NNPC at the moment. And that is the beauty.
Is it not the outcome of the president's liberalization policies? Was it not the intent of the president to allow the competition to ensue and force down prices?
I'm coming to that. That is the beauty of the market. When you allow the market to regulate itself in such a way that market forces are determined by supply and demand. By supply and demand. That is the beauty of it. I agree. But of course, too, you ask yourself, why are market forces not implicated in other aspects of our economy?
He's asking for time. He's asking for more time. But foreign exchange, the Naira has firmed up. Though renowned economist Bismarck Rewannet said the other day, $8 billion gone into the defense of the Naira.
I agree.
But it's coming down. It's firming up.
I agree. The Naira has firmed up. I would love to see Naira firming up around the currency region that they met it when they came into power in 2023. When a businessman buys a dollar for 1,500 and something Naira, it has profound effect on our domestic economy. When you choose to do business in the UK and you are buying a pound for 2,210 Naira or thereabout, it fluctuates every hour and all that. It has serious implication for our economy. My hope is that those heads, that deal with the micro and macroeconomic policies of this government will look at the craziness, of our forex economy. That's my response.
You talked about the issue of tax as a way of developing the economy, and you've said some scholars, you quoted some names, have said you can. Many of them, former British Prime Minister Thatcher, they have repeatedly said.
There's a preeminent American scholar who have constantly argued that you cannot tax the people to progress, to prosperity. The Nobel winner in economics, Jeffrey Sachs. Look, in a depressed economy as ours, where incomes are stagnated, you are not striving to expound the tax base or the tax net. All you do is to increase the levers of taxation. There's little or no returns that you can make, and the evidence out there, in the literature, suggests that you cannot tax a people or a nation of people to growth and prosperity. Mr. President is asking us for more time. How long can Nigerians wait? Wait in poverty, in penury, in misery. People no longer have money to go to proper hospitals and take care of themselves. You see Nigerians swallowing and drinking all sort of native herbs, agbo, and we have increasing problems of kidney, in our country. We don't have the hospital infrastructure, hospices that can take care of our people, and we are dealing with all sorts of problems. When you deal with the well-being of a people, you will now begin to have a handle on progress, on growth and prosperity. There's a connection, and scholars have established this, between the good well-being of a people and growth. And, it also raises the fundamental point. are you creating the greatest happiness for the greatest number? When you have a higher percentage of your citizens who are unhappy, there's a correlation between unhappiness and productivity. I'm not making this point. These things are in the literature. But unfortunately, we have people in power, who are enjoying the privileges of power. They do not know, they do not understand what the ordinary people of our country, are going through. I would love, Mr. President, to disguise himself one day and go to the market closest, to Aso Rock and see, the prices of goods and commodities that Nigerians are dealing with.
What's the alternative to taxation? Some people have mentioned expansion of production, even agricultural production.
Yeah, that is one way. I constantly argued it in my op-ed piece that I shared with you a few weeks ago. When you look at the commanding heart of the economy, more particularly in respect of manufacturing, we are not manufacturing. We are only depending on revenue from the fossil economy, petroleum. When you look at the breadth and length of our country, you find, factories that we used to know that have gone under, and when you look at the length and breadth of our country as well, you don't find productivity or production in real term contributing to our national GDP, and two, they say massive construction, massive industrialization can kickstart a nation's economy. I was happy when the government announced its coastal road project, and I was also happy when the government announced its Badagry-Sokoto project. These are massive road infrastructure projects that can engender growth and prosperity in the corridors of those communities that these roads will go through. But we know that there are questions around how these projects, can be funded. Just a few days ago, the Minister of Works told us that there will be a pullback, in some aspect of the coastal road from coastal communities up, to the upland. So what they are virtually saying is that, look, we are no longer going to do a coastal road. We are going to do a coastal upland road. The point is this.
No, what do you mean by that? Because what I heard the minister say was that another contract has been awarded to come from the Bayelsa Cross River and in such a way that work will be simultaneous from
the point they made is, is in the media. They are pushing away from the riverine coastal communities upland. So I think what they are confronted with is the cost of building bridges across coastal communities. So they are not coming inland. They are not coming inland. If you are moving inland, invariably means that your road is no longer coastal road. That's the point I'm making. And
it ends up like the East-West Road.
East-West Road, and invariably too, the growth, the prosperity that this road would have engendered, in this coastal community.
Is it not being realistic based on the issue of costing?
Well,
what amount did we get before? Is it not 16 trillion?
Yeah, 16 trillion.
So
16 trillion.
perhaps the government is being realistic.
Perhaps too. They are moving away from the madness they found themselves when they sold the whole idea of coastal road, to some sense of sanity. Because Nigerians, many Nigerians pointed it out to them that this road, the way, you're going about it, does not show seriousness at a certain level, does not show that some feasibility studies have been made, in respect of the environmental impact of the road at one level, the cost at another level. And don't forget too, I always ask, are these roads, Badagry, Sokoto, coastal roads, are they captured in the 2025 budget? I'm not aware that they are captured. So in a legal sense. You know, where are you appropriating the monies from? It raises all sorts of
Some
questions.
explanation of sometimes about the contractor helping in the financing
The PPP arrangement.
and all those.
Yes.
But perhaps it will get clearer.
Clearer.
By the day, let's go for a break. When we come back, we look more towards politics of 2027. Do stay with us.
We have rules, we have the statutes that we follow, because the Senate is not a jungle. And like I said, we are not active films in the Senate. It's not for Nollywood. It's for political actors, developmental actors, progressive actors. So we are not acting skits. It's not for content creation. So definitely, when we get here tomorrow, no man see that. I don't
You
will be
speak as
prevailing.
if senators don't create content. We see some of your aides.
Yes.
Some of the aides of the Senate president do skits of him arriving at the Senate chamber.
That's
Sergeant
it.
of arms.
That's it.
Ushering them in, and they embellish and share. That is skit making.
That is not skit, because it's not for entertainment. It's a reality that the Senate president has come, yes, ushering him. So that one could be viewed to show that the Senate president is efficient, is coming to his job every day and punctually for that matter. That is not skit. Skit is for entertainment.
Okay.
So, and when you say entertainment, you are talking of comedy. The thing that we are saying is that we are not acting skits in the Senate.
Oh, do you think it was skits?
No, we are
she
not.
was doing?
Well, because when you know the law, that when
Was
you
she
don't,
not fighting for her right?
is it a right to sit where you are not supposed to sit, contravening the rules of the Senate, the orders of the Senate, and then be asking for equity?
Much for staying with us. Barrister Abdul Mahmud, President Public Interest Lawyers League, has been with us weighing in on issues of the day as they affect our national development. Thank you so much for staying with us. Somehow it appeared you leaned towards the Labour Party during the last general election.
Yes, I did. I was a supporter of Peter Obi, very active as a citizen. But of course, I keep making this point as an ambivalent outsider. I wasn't in any structure of the Labour Party or Peter Obi. I felt in 2022 that among the three candidates, he presented himself as a moral person, two, very ethical, had clear understanding of Nigerian problems, and three, I was won more by his austere, very austere attitude to life, but unfortunately, what some of us expected didn't happen, largely due to the inefficiency of INEC itself, a coterie of problems within the Labour Party. I keep making this point. If you are challenging for power in a post-colonial state,
Such as Nigeria.
You must be able to understand the character and nature of the nation state itself. You must be able to appreciate the amoral nature and character of those who run the nation state. And in approaching national elections, you don't play out your role as a gentleman.
So you drop the garb of gentleman and enter
garb.
the fray?
Yeah, enter
So
the
it
fray.
becomes more of, if you can't beat them, you join them.
Not beat
But
them.
you end up becoming one of them.
Not beat them and join them. The point I'm trying to make is this. You try to mobilize citizens in such a way that the streets become a theater for the contest for power. That was lacking in Labour Party in 2022, 2023. When it was clear that the elections were stolen, the attitude and insistence on let's go to court.
What's the other option?
You look, the other option is what the Serbians are doing today since November in their country. Perhaps because I come from a different tradition. In Between
Or
1990...
should I ask, what's the other legitimate option?
Well, legitimate option. Legitimacy flows from the consent of the people. If Nigerians had gathered in Abuja on that street where my office is, and INEC headquarters is, and head the ground, to INEC, perhaps would have had a different...
That's not me.
Well, perhaps
there are established processes for righting perceived wrongs.
But, there was nothing more violent, nothing more valuable than assaulted the consciences of Nigerians than the way elections were stolen in 2023. The way the stolen elections was announced on April 1st when Nigerians were asleep, and all that. Look, and we have seen it in the middle of an election when counting was going on. We relied heavily on technology for very obvious reasons. The technological piece that should have transmitted result for Nigerians to see, was switched off. But
or had a glitch, according to INEC.
According to INEC, it didn't have a glitch when they were transmitting results for the National Assembly elections and all that. But we have also seen, in the course of adjudication at the Tribunal, Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court, and all sorts of results appeared in the public space, how election result sheets became paper for which young children practice their handwriting. The point I'm trying to make is this: we saw all sort of cancellations, that were made on result sheets across our country. But I do not blame INEC solely. If Labour Party had prepared itself, recognizing the fact that it was entering, the arena of context, in a post-colonial state, the way it did, by organizing itself and holding ground in 178,000 polling units across our country, perhaps it would have been difficult for INEC.
Did they have the time to do all those things?
Well, they didn't.
That time was of essence.
They didn't have the time, and it is that error of rendering and mistakes that we are making again in 2025. The entire 2024 was lost to all sorts of crises within the party. My good friend and Serbian scholar, Slavoj Zizek, he taught me in England, has coined a phrase, about how power controls political parties. And in a symbolic way, he drew the phrase's symbolism from boxing. When a more stronger boxer is on top of his game and is beating the other boxer, what the other boxer does is to clinch, is to hold, and stop you from boxing.
And the referee will just have to free up,
and break up, and break up,
the
and all
fight
that,
to resume.
But
you gave momentary reprieve.
Reprieve. What we see now, in the two opposition parties of our country, PDP and Labour Party, is power entering inside these parties and clinching them in such a way that they cannot pull punches. They cannot pull punches. Who is that power? We can't move far away from the doorsteps of Mr. President.
Who has enough problems of his own in the APC?
In his APC.
Someone who has some problems to resolve in APC, will he have time to go
into? But we see prominent elements in both parties, acting as if they are controlled by forces outside the party.
But is it not normal political strategy?
It is not normal political strategy.
Because you talk about a post-colonial environment, society.
Yeah.
These are things you see there.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand the point you are coming from. But the point I'm making is this. If a Labour leadership, for example, has sat down after the elections in 2023, that look, we got our strategies and tactics wrong. We're beaten to the game by a political character who understood the nature and character of the post-colonial state. if the party has sat back to look at its weaknesses, at least would have been able to come away with some luxury of joy that having organized itself within 9 months, they were able to secure 6 million votes. If we organize ourselves in a proper way, we will be able to secure at least 12 million votes in the next election. But what did the party do? The party went into meltdown. It has not recovered. Meltdown that is caused by internal frictions within the party. And also,
then those external factors.
and also, external powers.
It's not so different from what is happening to PDP.
External powers who have not cashed in and clinched, everybody. I go back to the Zek phrase again.
Yes.
And he's holding everybody's hand down. And he said,
why his own hands are free?
Why his own hands
to throw
are free?
punches, jabs, and uppercuts.
If you look at his party, the only person that is making some sort of noise there, are elements within from the Zaria collective, led by my good friend Salih Olukman, Malam Nasiru Rufai, and a few elements in the north who feel...
Are they concentrated in the Zaria, will I say now, northwest?
The preponderance is, the preponderance of the number is, is in the northwest. And the most vocal, of these individuals are from the northwest, particularly from the Zaria area. But the point is this, the type of crisis PDP is confronted with, and also Labour Party, is not that type of crisis APC is presently confronted with.
These two
but
parties,
there's a reason
yes,
for it.
okay.
Because the privileges of power allows some sort of distribution. So you have more quieting voices in APC because powers have been shared in such a way that, it's conch-up. Everybody is eating at the moment. Those who have lost out in the chopping game and trying to occupy the moral ground. But we know that these moral grounds do not really exist for them. But it's also important that PDP and Labour Party, as the two leading opposition parties, must learn to take advantage in the crisis.
First, it must have to free itself from that. What do you call it? Clinch. They have to. You have to free yourself first before you can make the next move.
If you have somebody like Nyesom Wike, who some of us know that for many years spent so much, in keeping the party structure, in order, helping to do the clinching within PDP. Nothing seriously can come out from the PDP, except the governors become strategic and tell themselves that, look, politics is about money. We need to spend to keep our structures intact. That they are not doing. Because there's a vacuum, there's a big spender, who is spending and occupying that space. To dislodge him within the party will be difficult. So PDP will be going into 2027 elections, heavily inhibited by its internal divisions.
Okay.
And the Labour Party.
But before we progress, this spending you're talking of, is it not state funds?
It's state funds, of course. State funds. It's state funds.
The way you said, as if these governors have personal funds somewhere. And that boils down to because the problems of underdevelopment in Nigeria, the way public funds are taken out for other purposes.
Yeah, I'm actually worried. Perhaps we may have to go back and look at party political funding. Will it be justiciable, for the state to provide some sort of financial subsidies to political parties?
INEC was doing it before, but stopped.
But we know why it stopped. Political party formation became some sort of portfolio investment. People began setting up political parties for the purpose of getting INEC subsidies. But the most important thing for me is for those who run political parties in our country, and for those who have power, they should learn to be ethical. They should learn to be disciplined with power. I tweeted last night, when I saw a piece in the media of APC holding its national caucus meeting.
Yes, just a few hours ago.
At the banquet hall of the State House. I was worried about the proprietariness of a political party doing power using State House for a party political affair. The question
it didn't start today, did
it? Questions people like me will ask: did APC pay for that venue? The little chops, that they had at the meeting, was it provided by the party or provided by the presidency? We should create a distinction between Tinubu in power as an APC president from APC as a party. APC is like other political parties. Will the presidency allow Labour Party, for example, or one of the smallest party, maybe APP, go to the state banquet hall and hold its national caucus
and get same privilege?
And get the same privilege. Look, some of these unethical practices are something that responsible parties in power, a president in power should move away from.
Okay, let's go back to the state of the main opposition parties. Some are saying maybe what we have now in opposition leaders, not opposition political parties. The parties are bogged down, like you said. Can they free themselves up before 2027? Or do you see a situation where these leaders will coalesce, even with those disgruntled voices in quote within APC?
For me, I've made my point clear. None of the two opposition political parties, the way they are structured at the moment, with the crisis that they are confronted with, can go into 2027 elections and get some sort of victory. None.
That's going alone.
Going alone. We can draw from the anecdotal evidence that the off-cycle elections have presented to us. We saw what happened in Edo State, for example. As strong as the PDP was in the election, it could not run past the winning tape. And we saw how terribly weak Labour Party was in the elections, to the point that his own governorship candidate was beaten in the PU in front of his house. Perhaps if both parties had sat down and reconciled their position, that on the basis of averages and statistics and numbers and vote distributed across the state, how can we coalesce into one structure and work together? But that itself would present us with the same problem that you raised. We don't have disciplined political parties. What we have...
Do we even have disciplined politicians? Because you're describing a rational situation.
What we have,
most of our politicians are irrational.
What we have are politicians who are interested in furthering and furthering their nests and their political interest and ambition. And that's what I think will happen in 2027. If you watched and listened to Nasir, who has become the poster boy of the current opposition to this government, his interview with Arise a few days ago, he did not completely close the door against the APC, but he completely shut the door against a political party that he came from, the People's Democratic Party, though he went from PDP to CPC before APC and all that. So what this suggests to me is that you have politicians who are playing oppositional politics only in the sense that they are positioning themselves for what time and space can provide going forward to 2027. If Mr. President throws candies, lollipops at some of these people, the tendency exists that they will capitulate.
And it may be a factor going into 2027.
And it may be a factor going to 2027.
Because from
but the important
a
thing,
previous experience, a lot goes, not just candies.
Yeah, but the important thing,
a lot more than that
very important thing,
come out.
Very important thing is for oppositional politicians in both opposition political parties sitting down and telling themselves the truth that we can only have some shots at power if we reconcile our position, coalesce in such a way that we present a common front in
But do they have the time?
In 2027.
It's ticking.
Yeah,
Seconds,
time,
minutes, hours, days, months.
Time is running. I think by October, INEC will come up with the timetable and all that. They still have a window. But
it's less than 2 years to the election.
Less than 2 years to the election. But what I think will happen, the easiest part, you know, I see some characters, particularly in social media, talking about formation of political parties. You know, time will not allow you to form political.
So you have to use existing parties.
The INEC, as it is currently composed, you know, will not register new political parties. So you have to look for a way and walk through.
There are several visits to SDP now by import disgruntled politicians. Could that be the way out?
Yeah, and work with existing parties. If you look at what is happening in Abia, for example, you have a Labour Party governor in power, local governments in Abia controlled by APP, you know, APP.
Do you know what may happen in 2027 if what you're preaching do not play out? In Anambra State governorship election to hold this November, all opposition actions are on APC. Not so much, if anything, from the side of PDP, and just a little from the Labour Party. So you see Labour Party politicians, you see PDP politicians move en masse to the APC. So except they close rank and present themselves as a formidable alternative, it could just be APC all the way.
Yeah, the way
apart from ABGA in power in the state.
I agree with you. The way we're going, if you look at the National Assembly, for example, we have lost more members of Labour Party and PDP. And of course, NMPP is throwing itself into,
yes, they're also moving.
They're also moving into the APC. What it suggests is that you have a political party, egghead embedded within the party, thinking ahead of the now and looking at 2027. That is what you do not find in Labour Party and PDP. And both parties are unwilling to learn.
NMPP, is it clinched too?
Well, I've not looked at it.
There's a faction claiming to be the authentic leadership.
Yeah.
So they are not ruled out.
They are not ruled out. It is funny. It is laughable. But we are dealing with the future of the people here. We are dealing with.
So it shouldn't sound funny.
It shouldn't sound funny. With a president running the type of liberal economic policies is running.
We'll have to go now.
All right.
So we're out of time. Let's continue to watch. Maybe at some point later this year we'll come back to review whether indeed that boxing bout is still on,
whether hands are still clinched.
Whether there is a technical knockout that could be, or whether it could go down to split decision.
Right.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Abdul Mahmud, President, Public Interest Lawyers League.
Thank you, Amechi.
And also for you for being part of it. My name is Amechi, and have a good time.